Hi, Capricorn. I know you're the boss, so thank you for hanging in there with me as I finally get June forecast out. Here's how the day will go. I'm going to start with the background transit that I believe is subconsciously influencing our day to day decisions. That's Pluto Retrograde in Aquarius. Then we're going to move to the quicker moving energy at play throughout the month. And since Saturn is your ruler, I want you to pay attention because there are some squares that are triggering red flag days mid-month. I'm titling this month for you, Keep Your Word, and as we go through, I think you're going to understand why. If you're born closer to December 22nd, you could benefit from listening to Sagittarius as well. If your birthday is closer to the 19th, you might gain value from listening to Aquarius. So as always, start with your rising sign. If you don't know, you can Google it for free. You're going to need your date, location, and time of birth. Then for extra value, listen to your sun sign, which highlights your overall joy and your career, followed by your moon sign, which reflects your emotions and your home life. I am under the weather right now. That is partly why these forecasts have been delayed. I know you don't like excuses, Capricorn, but I am just telling you the way that it is. It's also why I'm not on camera, but let's dive in. So, on May 4th, Pluto, the planet of empowerment or power plays, went retrograde in Aquarius, the rebel with a cause. So the purpose is to rethink and revise your finances, your relationship with money, material possessions, self-worth. While this is a 20-year transit, the retrograde is helping set you up for transformation in these areas. Pluto is also tied to your 11th house of groups, gains, and goals. So this is your social life, your friendships, your professional networks. Gains means how you make your second house money, like through an online marketplace, freelancing, 9 to 5, etc. And goals isn't just about like what you want to accomplish over the next few days. These are long-term wishes, the big things that drive us, like owning a business, buying a house, having a family, traveling the world. So you're rethinking how any or all of these things are impacting the money that you have in the bank or wanting to have more money to be able to do these things. Yeah, so that makes sense. Now, at the onset of Pluto's transit, we see a square here to Venus that has just moved into Taurus in your fifth house of pleasure. So this is about dating and children and hobbies and speculative investments. I want to mention that since Pluto is about your personal finances and long-term investments. This is more like gambling, crypto, things that are a little shaky. So you may have to cut back in these areas. Yeah, some kind of unexpected change because you see Uranus here, also in Taurus, fifth house. Yeah, an unexpected change in your personal life. But it's a trine, so it's a good thing. And it's helping you reassess what you love and value, Venus, right? It's helping you spend your money wisely or save your money. Like prioritizing dating or children or self-care instead of going out with your friends. And there's also a sextile to Saturn and Neptune in Aries. And that's in your home life, your family. So maybe you recently bought a home or you're working on a renovation. Maybe you're preparing for the transformation of parenthood. I know this may seem tough. Money is funny. But I think this is very powerful. And since you're the boss, I know you're going to do well with it. Okay, so now let's talk about Venus a little bit more. On the 6th, Venus enters Taurus, and it's going to be here until Independence Day. And Venus is what we love. It's what we value: money, art, beauty. In Taurus, it's about safety and security and food and investments and natural resources. So again, this is activating your fifth house. of romance and creative projects, children, hobbies, maybe small business. And yeah, so these are the areas of your life that you're going to want to pour love into. And Venus is also connected to your 10th house of career and reputation and social status. Social status is like single, married, business owner, grandparent, parent. So this should make sense. I'm really liking the sextile to Jupiter too. Ooh la la. That's in your 7th house of committed partnerships and self-awareness. So are you getting married? Are you having a baby? Is your kid moving on to their next chapter and now you're turning their room into a home office? Yeah, okay, fine. So there's still a square to Pluto in your 2nd house. Yeah, all these things cost money. That's true. But so there's some kind of financial pressure. But all in all, I think this month with Venus and Taurus is really sweet for you. And I do think that a lot of you are going to get pregnant or you're definitely going to be trying. Okay, moving on to the 9th. Oh. Moving on to the 9th, we're going to talk about Jupiter. And Jupiter is now in Cancer. Let's get him there. There he is, 0 degrees of Cancer. And this is happening for a full year. Jupiter is about growth and optimism and good luck, and it's activating your 7th house of committed partnerships and self-awareness. So this could be your significant other, but it could also be relationships with business partners and best friends and healthcare providers and your clients, or even your marketplace if you have one. Your relationships are definitely going to grow over the next year, either because they're maturing or you're maturing and you're realizing who you want in your inner circle. That's Jupiter wisdom. Now, for more context, Jupiter is also associated with your 3rd house of the mind and communication. So if you do have a marketplace, definitely start initiating new advertising and marketing campaigns. It's also great for writing and public speaking. And this could be about a big client or contracts are really, really favored. You're going to be able to negotiate price increases and additional services. This could also be about your neighborhood. So if you've recently moved, you might be getting to know your neighbors and forming new relationships with them. You might also be taking short trips with your partner, your best friends, your business partners. So maybe places like conferences that have, an educational component, a historic significance, so they expand your mind. This house also involves technology and vehicles. So maybe in order to grow, you need new software, or you're using AI for your campaigns and contracts. If you're road tripping, you might get an RV or a larger vehicle. Now this is the two-way street. For you, Jupiter rules your 12th house, which is a very private house. It represents the part of our lives that we tend to keep hidden. So on the one hand, this is really great for spiritual retreats, right? Pack up that RV and, head out west somewhere. And personal development, right? Jupiter is wisdom. So you're growing your inner self. And since Jupiter's influence can heighten your instincts, given you are psychic, giving you psychic-like skills, I think like instincts and I don't know. Leave me a comment if anyone is becoming a psychic over the next year. I want to know. But since Jupiter does expand everything it touches, I know this house well, and I need you to be mindful of this house and the darker themes. It's hidden enemies, it's vices, it's self-sabotage, and Jupiter can have you overthinking things, overindulging, being vulnerable to scam artists. So you really need to trust your partnerships and test them. Stress test your partnerships. Get those contracts in order and tap into the fifth sense to make the most of Jupiter's good fortune over the next year. Yeah, I think that that's really what it is. Trusting your intuition about your partnerships and backing it up with contracts. 1 year. All right, so all of this energy is kind of building up to the full moon in Sagittarius, which is happening on the 11th of June. And this moon is ruled by Jupiter. So full moons bring turning points, completions, endings. Oftentimes we need to let go of something to make room for the growth, right? Jupiter. So this is happening in your 12th house of retreats, foreign places, spiritual development. But again, it's also about hidden enemies, hospitals, self-sabotage. So I don't know what's happening, but you're likely keeping it close to your vest as it is the 12th house. And the energy does connect again with your third house. So business contracts, upskilling, technology, writing, short trips, vehicles, neighbor siblings. If your head is about to explode, then I think you either need to talk it out with a trusted source or you need to write it out. Reflection, meditation are great, but there are just some things that need to come out to be able to make sense of them. And this is a really karmic full moon for you because it's triggering the north and south nodes. And the south node is what we need to release to move into our destiny. And for you, it's in Virgo in your 9th house. So, maybe this is about your beliefs on something. Maybe there's an outdated belief and it's in your head. So what do you need to embrace? You need to embrace all these third house elements, the contracts, the business, the writing, the media related projects, hanging out with your relatives and your neighbors and really embracing your community and staying local. So instead of like flights, not feelings, I think you need to do short trips and all the feelings. Okay. So now let's go to some of the trickier days of the month, not just for you, for everybody. And that happens starting on the 15th when Mars in Leo squares Uranus in Taurus. Now, Mars is about drive and action and speed, but it can also be like aggression and competitiveness, all the more in Leo, which is a very loud and proud sign. So the energy is setting fire to your 9th house. And that's legal matters. That's education, higher learning, like college, master's, PhD, long distance travel, like overseas. These aren't short trips. And your beliefs, like religion, politics, ethics, morals, like philosophical type conversations. Now, Mars is also tied to your 7th house of committed partnerships and self awareness. So, something you want to take action on is likely not aligning with what somebody else wants you to do, okay? And the real tension is actually on the other side of the square. And that's right here with Uranus at the very last degrees of Taurus. So, this is like a final push. And Uranus is innovation, but it's also disruption, and especially when it's in a square. That's tension, that's conflict. And when it goes head to head like that with Mars, a power player like Mars, it will bring sudden changes. So it's like you may have thought you had a legal matter tied down, and bam, something happens here and you don't, right? Because Taurus is about safety and security. usually through the material world, like healthy food and savings and long-term investments. And the energy is just about to leave your fifth house. Your personal life, romance, children, hobbies, speculative investments. And Uranus is also tied to Aquarius. So that's the money that you have in the bank and your savings accounts, your self-esteem. So this could be triggering that because your savings are being depleted. Is a legal matter, travel or education could be depleting your savings. Like maybe there's like a payment that comes due that you didn't know about, and all of a sudden you're like, and that's going to impact your personal life pretty significantly because maybe that's money that you set aside to do something romantic or fun with your kids. So also on the 15th, we've got Jupiter in Cancer squaring Saturn, your ruler, in Aries. So this is the third and final square. You need to think back to what was happening in mid to late August of last year and Christmas Eve. And we got to break this down. There's a lot. So we've spoken about Jupiter, and it's expanding your relationships, or it's making you more aware of how your close ties make you feel. Now, this growth is either motivating you to speak your truth, right? I told you that. I think that was the title of your video. But motivating you to speak your truth and the square is bringing tension and conflict. So I think you're really getting caught up in your head. And Saturn is trying to teach you a lesson about your home life. So this could relate to your family. It could be real estate, parents, or the past, like reflecting on your childhood. And Aries wants you to take action. And Saturn is saying, yeah, but I just want you to be discerning and disciplined. So maybe Saturn wants you to learn from the past and not rush in and repeat the same patterns. And again, you are Saturn, so this impacts your body. And stress can manifest in physical ways. So you might get injured working on a home project, like a home renovation or moving boxes into your new home. It might be painful to think about certain times from your childhood, and that's maybe giving you like a headache or tummy pains. Maybe this isn't about your physical body or appearance. Maybe this is about your identity. And Saturn is also influences your money zone. So this is the money, again, you have in the bank and your relationship with money. So if your relationships are changing, it's likely because you're communicating your needs, and hopefully this is relieving some mental pressure. And these breakthroughs are having you take your home life seriously by using the lessons from the past. Yeah, that's going to be my prediction for this. Again, I know this is not a comfortable aspect, but I do believe it is for the best. So now we're going to move the wheel to the 8th, and it's pretty much the same setup, but instead of talking about Saturn, your chart ruler, we're going to talk about Neptune, because Jupiter in Cancer is now squares off with Neptune in Aries. And this makes things extra confusing. Like you thought you had a game plan, and then someone turns on a fog machine. Jupiter is how you think and how you communicate in your relationships. Neptune is blurring the lines in your home life. And since Neptune is connected to your third house of neighbors and siblings and relatives, emails, texts, DMs, contracts, negotiations, etc., maybe someone says something to you about your partner that is completely opposite their previous advice or what you've been thinking. Honestly, I don't know. These are not days to act. That is what I do know. These are days to write down thoughts and review them when the energy is more clear and consistent. Saturn is going to do his best to temper your emotions, but Neptune can be sneaky, and its purpose is to distort our sense of reality. So just hold tight. All right, now let's talk about some of the positive aspects as we close out your reading. We're going to move on to June 24th, and that is when Jupiter connects with the sun. And it's in your seventh house of committed partnerships and self awareness. So we're going to shake away those heavier vibes and we're going to close out with some good news. This is called a Cazimi. It's when the sun joins forces with another planet and amplifies its energy. And because Jupiter is the planet of good luck, good fortune, and wisdom, some astrologers call this day the day of miracles. And this is when the sun is going to really bring out Jupiter's optimism and wisdom and growth. And it's activating your committed partnerships and your self-awareness. It's tied to your private thoughts and what you think and you say. And the sun is how we shine in the world. And for you, it's connected to your shared assets like taxes, inheritances, and insurance, as well as deep emotions like trust and intimacy. So this could be the day when you have clarity with your partner. You say all the right things. And the sun is going to give you courage to make a final decision. Yeah, you still have squares here to Saturn and Neptune, putting the pressure on your home life, but there's also a sextile to Mars. And that could mean that a legal matter is moving forward, or Mars is helping you gain strength through education, travel, or grounding yourself in your morals, right? Being assertive with boundaries. I like that. Okay, your last major event of the month is on the 25th, and that's the new moon in Cancer. It's happening at 4 degrees. And I think now is when you really set your sights on a fresh start that involves your relationships, romantic and platonic. So over the next 6 months, dream big when it comes to the kind of partners you want to attract into your life or how you want your relationships to look and feel by the holidays. Yes, keep an eye on Saturn and Neptune in your home life, and lean in to the Mars and Virgo energy up here to learn, to travel, to broaden your horizons, to change your perspective. You could very well meet or fall in love with someone overseas or from a different background. Oh, that would be cool. Okay, Capricorn, keep me posted. All the best. Have a wonderful June.
If you found value in your forecast, please pay it forward by subscribing to the channel, posting a comment, and clicking on the notification bell. Transcripts are posted on astrocoachkate.com, where you can find all the ways to train with me and book a free discovery call.